big news, Glenn. Before we get to your choice of cabbage roll, what should fans really take from this, son? If you have the floor here to talk to the Rider faithful, what should they take from this?
Well, you've witnessed from afar or in the stands a team that really respects each other, that they play for each other in the locker room. So they've created the culture, and that decision from Jeremy O'Day to hire Corey Mace, that was the decision that earned him this next contract. Corey Mace's work in empowering the players to take ownership and making sure it's the right players in the room. And if there is a guy in the room that isn't one of those guys that are going to become a team first guy, then you've got to make a move and get rid of them. You don't have to make it public as to why, but you've got to get them out of the room. And it doesn't mean that everyone loves each other and sings Kumbaya, but they have to respect each other and play for each other. That culture is built with Corey Mace. Corey Mace was hired by Jeremy, who, and I'll give him full credit for this, and I think the fans there should too, that he went through some tough times and could have started blaming people, trying to blame guys or kick them as they went out the door, and didn't do that. Stayed professional, stayed on top of the Canadian draft, making sure he was bringing in great Canadian players. I mean, look at their receiving core in the Canadian content. It's outstanding. So he maintained a steady hand when the ship was rocking a little bit. And now they're reaping the benefits. And I think, hey, congratulations to both of them. They've earned it. They deserve it. And Corey Mace, I can tell you from a TV perspective and dealing with him whenever we cover a Rider game, utmost professional, very transparent, and with great respect for the work that we are trying to do to present the game and trying to understand that. So I can see why, the players have built that culture in the room based on his leadership. And, that's what I would tell fans. That's what I see from working with Coach Mace, with Jeremy O'Day. I see him every year at the Dogs Breakfast. They come up to be part of that. And, I think this is a great hire. It's great timing. Gets all of that off the table. These are the guys. This is the administration. This is the coaching staff. And now, and I heard you guys talk about it earlier, what about Mark Mueller?
Yeah. Well, Glenn, I had said as a Rider fan, because what J.O. has brought, because there's been other coaches and there's stability. All we have to worry about now as fans is winning and losing, because more than anybody, over the past 4 decades, the roller coaster of emotion that it is being a Rider fan, from selling grain to raffle tickets to lotteries to you name it, just to keep the lights on, to finally, we just got to worry about winning and losing, which is kind of nice. And then we start to complain about when we don't win by enough. That's for me. And the other thing, if you're not extending them, who else is doing a better job at the moment than these two? Like the Mace for being a second-year head coach, and hopefully we're going to get to where we want to go here in a few weeks. And then O'Day with what he's done and the scouting. Like A.J. Allen, that was a 2020 draft pick. That wasn't in the past year. That was a 5-year ago decision that's paying off today. So it's good. We just get to worry about football. All of the other stuff is really background. And as a fan, it's just kind of nice. All right, good. Keep making smart moves.
Gentlemen, is there a lot of text messaging coming in that don't like this decision?
Not today, but there will be some. There will be, for sure. You know what it's like, Glenn.
Yeah, well, I guess. But honestly, first in the division in his second year as a head coach, that's a no-brainer. And let's compare it to a Ryan Dinwiddie when he was a brand new head coach in Toronto, and this year you don't panic in Toronto and fire Ryan Dinwiddie, because you look at why their season went the way it did. What are the main reasons? And the most important being that he didn't have a starting quarterback for the entire season. So, you go back and have to assess, when you're looking at your head coaching position, you have to assess what were the circumstances. It's like a coach's decision to pull a quarterback. If it's not the quarterback's fault that the team is behind on the scoreboard, then why are you pulling him? Leave him in there and let him work through it. And especially if he's your veteran, don't pull him out unless he's not seeing it, like a pitcher that is not hitting the plate. Finally, you got to make a decision there. So I honestly, this is a great decision, and I love the way Jeremy O'Day, where he navigated the rough waters. I think that tells you a lot about, who you are when things aren't going well. Are you remaining professional? And he certainly did that.
Suits, you guys you did the game in Montreal, or the Ottawa Red Blacks. Now, remember, Rider fans, for anybody that may be, the Ottawa Red Blacks, the two serious candidates for head coach were Bob Dice and Corey Mace. They hire Bob Dice. We end up getting Corey Mace. And you know what? All day long, as a Rider fan, we're very happy, but he easily could have been the head coach of the Ottawa Red Blacks had a different decision been made, and I think the trajectory of their team would be completely different. I'm just saying that, knowing what we know about Corey now and having seen him for the past couple of years. So this wasn't just there was other people looking at him. The pedigree he came from Toronto, and those Grey Cups and that defense and all that. He was a sought-after commodity as a coaching prospect.
Yeah, he was. And there were a lot of other coaches or potential head coaches that were interviewed at the time that the Riders talked to. And let's remember that Corey was one of those guys that sat in the interview room and said, I want this job. This job is a special, like he understood the whole Rider Nation concept when he was sitting interviewing for it. And that was a big reason that both Jeremy and Craig, I'm sure, thought this is our guy, and to be able to sit in those meetings. I mean, I'm sure every coach has asked very similar questions, and I bet you none of them just stood up and said, I want this, put your own word in there, job more than anybody, and I want it. So let's go. And, I think this is great. It's great. It's good timing heading into the playoffs. Well, heading into a couple of weeks until the playoffs, 2 or 3 weeks. And already I'm a big fan of his decision to rest Trevor and say it right out of the gate. We're not playing Trevor until the West Final. So I think that's a smart move.
Why do you like that?
Because, well, there's a few reasons. The first one is it takes him out of harm's way, because it only takes a follow through and a thumb to hit a helmet. It doesn't have to be a catastrophic injury by any stretch, but it takes, remember Zach Collaros in the Grey Cup game, last year, he followed through and cut his finger on his passing hand, and he didn't have the same accuracy the rest of the game. I mean, it doesn't take much for something goofy like that to happen. So you've taken him out of that possibility. Secondly, you may need Jake Maier at some point to win this West Final and get you there. And maybe you need him, and knock on wood, you don't, but maybe you need him in the Cup as well. So any type of experience he can get leading into that really helps you. The other is the message. I keep hearing that coaches sometimes say, well, we want to win. That's why I played my guys. And I could tell you the example with Ottawa, like why we were still seeing Dustin Crum in the second half against Montreal. I'll never understand that. They have a chance to assess Tyree Adams as a quarterback under the real lights of a game, and they lost that opportunity. Now they still have a couple games, so they'll probably play him now. But why not then? I mean, so Jake Maier is important. Those reps are important for him. And the message from your coach when you're in these situations is not, well, we don't care about winning anymore, and that's why we're playing these guys. No, it's not about that. It's about you are on this team and on this roster because we believe we can win with you. Because if Jake Maier wasn't there and they didn't believe they could win with Jake Maier, then he wouldn't be the backup. He wouldn't be number 2. They'd have been searching all year for a number 2. So the message is the same. The message is we expect you to go win and play at the same level as the starters. That's why you're on this roster. And the rosters aren't that big. So if you're on it for a reason. And the message should just be, hey, we believe we can win with you. So let's go and keep on winning.
You're the coach. Who are the must, after Trevor Harris, can we throw AJ Ouellette in there? Who are the must sit?
Well, that a little bit of that, honestly, Barney, is going to be dependent on, what their practice roster, what their
ratios and
injured list, the ratio. There's a few things that they're going to have to juggle there. You can't sit everyone you'd like to. But I'd put it this way. Anyone that is still dealing with a bit of a muscle injury. So, if there's a bit of a hamstring on any one of the receivers that it feels a little bit tight, something like that, don't risk it. If you can rest AJ, absolutely rest AJ. If not, and you think, a guy like Mario Alford, who's been on and off because of injury, there's a guy that you rest until you need him in the playoff game. And make sure he's as healthy and has as fresh legs as he possibly can, because he breaks one in that game and it might be the difference. So yeah, I would prioritize by, if there's someone that is nicked up that you can give him another week or two, that's priority list. And if they're all healthy, well, no one's healthy at this point, but if they're all, at a good level to play, then yeah, AJ would be at the top of my list.
Glenn, the best 2 teams in the CFL the past 5-6 weeks have been the BC Lions and the Montreal Alouettes. You did the game yesterday. Now that Montreal is healthy, what does that team look like live? Because on TV, they look pretty good in all 3 phases of the football game yesterday.
Yeah, that team with Davis Alexander, this is the quarterback's sort of role that is not spoken about enough, that you really need to believe in your guy. And there is such a difference the way that team played under McLeod Bethel-Thompson, even on defense and special teams, as they do when Davis Alexander's at the helm. And so I see the best that they are. And when they are playing like that, with that kind of enthusiasm and playing, following in the footsteps of Davis's leadership by example, I mean, he gets hit, his helmet gets knocked right off, which is, again, by the way, one of the reasons that you rest. If you've locked up first place, if you saw that hit on Davis Alexander when his helmet flew off on a short yardage play of all things, he's spitting out blood and it looked like maybe a chiclet came with it, and he doesn't want to come out of the game. I'm telling you that your teammates absolutely love you when you're that kind of guy. So yeah, to answer your question, Maz, I think they're one of the top teams in the league. I mean, you can say that the Lions, I think I agree, are the hottest maybe right now, especially on offense. They're putting up some big numbers. Their defense has improved, I would say, by 20% or so in the last 3 weeks, and is now making plays. Matthew Betts has been the guy that's led that. So they're probably the hottest team. I would say Montreal, to me, is the best team in the East for sure. And I did the Hamilton game as well. That Hamilton Tiger Cat team looked like mere mortals against Calgary. They didn't look like a team that was ready to lock up first place. And, maybe the fact that they had made the playoffs and thought they could just kind of show up and get the 2 points, but you can't do that, not this year especially.
What the heck is with the review? Is there just somebody up there now that just allowed to call down whenever and just say whatever?
Too much.
Is Donald Trump involved in this at all? What's going on? It's a bit of a circus.
Oh, don't get me started on that. Yeah, it is. Honestly, I wouldn't use the word circus for me. I think their intentions are good, and their intentions come from a good place. That in rules committee meetings up to this point, I think they've kept emphasizing that we want to get the call right. The problem with that is it's not always right when it's subjective. If it's a call that adds for opinion, then that is a subjective element that one guy is going to say, yeah, it's pass interference, and the very next guy is going to say no. That doesn't get it right, does it? It just adds more opinions to the process. And this idea now that they are stopping play on a regular basis, delaying the game by upwards of 2 guys. I'm at home when I watch games back with a stopwatch on how long it's taking to administer a penalty. And we're getting up into the 2 and 3 minute area sometimes. I mean, in a live football game, that is like pausing the game for an hour. And I don't even know what the fans in the stands are thinking by then. I mean, what are they doing? Because we can at least show a replay, or we can maybe go to commercial or something on TV. But boy, it has got to be addressed in the offseason. And I've done my own surveys. I won't name guys, but I've done my own surveys. And guys, this is an opinion that goes across the country.
Glenn,
everybody feels the same way.
The perfect example was that respot in the Rider game on Friday night. Now, it worked out in our favor. We end up getting a first down. But what you're doing essentially is, by doing that, you're taking that refereeing crew on the field and the decision they made, and there was enough of them around to be like, I thought the ball carrier was stopped here. It wasn't the second effort. You're really diminishing their role in a sense. And to everybody that was applauding, yeah, we got it. Careful. Karma comes back the other way too. This may pay us back somehow, some way, when somebody, a challenge or whatever, comes forward. Like even on the weekend, they're challenging, and I hate this. I hate the 5-yard rule. They're challenging the 5-yard halo. It's slowing down the game. There are just too many reasons. There's just so many flags, and I get it. Slowing down the flow of the game to be like, man.
Yeah,
why do you even have live officials out there if you can just replay center everything?
I missed this. Take me through this. Sorry, the 5-yard fair catch, or the 5-yard on a punt.
Yeah,
there was that.
Yes. Yeah, but in 2 separate games, that happened in the Rider game, and then that happened. Did that happen in the Ticat game?
Yes, yeah, and you can, look. There's, first of all, in the opinion, again, we're stating opinions here, but first of all, there's way too many things that can be challenged now.
Yeah.
Way too. Secondly, the command center or replay center is now stopping the game in real time. And the officials are standing in the middle of the field, kind of looking at the sky while they listen for the replay center to either actually call a penalty sometimes. So, and here's another, to your point, Maz, the question and the issue of competitive balance is at stake here in some ways. Let's say in a playoff game, the replay center comes in and says, there was no flag on the play, but we noticed a roughing the passer call that extends the drive. What if the same thing happens the other way and they don't stop the game and call on the other team the roughing the passer call? Now that those two, one miss and one change of a penalty that wasn't thrown or wasn't called, that has now affected the competitive balance of a playoff game, and that is a major problem in my book.
So Colson brought up a good point too, and it's kind of one of the plays that I probably would have thought. The blatant face mask on AJ Ouellette a few weeks ago. It's like, was anybody were they gone to the bathroom? Were they out for a smoke at that part of the call down for that? It's so subjective, a lot of calls, and you can't do it all the time. I just feel as a football fan Like there are some that are easy, and it's like, how many guys are in us four right here, Count Coulson? Like, we would figure it out.
Yeah.
Glenn,
Well,
I'm ready to go back to the point of the old school ways of, and now however this shakes out being a Rider fan, because I only see green most of the time. If it was just back to live human refereeing and however that plays out, that plays out like it used to be, because I think then we get our game back. Because you could, like Glenn, you'd said, on every play there's holding. You could eye in the sky a holding play, a holding call on every play if you wanted to, and find pass interference probably on every play. But that's not good for football. That's not good for our game.
No, and you guys ask Darian Durant this too, because he's an offensive-minded guy. So I'd be interested to hear his opinion on it. But right now, the pass interference is become just. I think the pendulum has swung so far to protecting receivers and allowing receivers to, you can barely as a DB even make any type of contact at all, or else you're getting a penalty. And those
they
are
bait them in too.
Exactly. So we do have to get back. I know it'll be discussed. You can't do it in the middle of the season. You can't do it at this point because the coaches and players have been used to what's been going on. Don't necessarily like it, but it's what has happened. So they'll go to the end of the year. They'll have the rules committee. I think if the new commissioner Stuart Johnston wants to make a real impact, there are a few things he can do right out of the gate. Now, they may seem small. This is not marketing and franchise values and, corporate greatness. This is things that can enhance the game in a big way. And Replay Center and its involvement and how you challenge is definitely one that's got to be completely revamped. We need to add players to the roster. We need to make the rosters bigger. So you can get more, you can get separate special teams, and that's going to take money. So they have to figure out the budget. And from a TV perspective, we need to figure out how to get Spider Cam on every one of those games. And that's the biggest difference to me. That's the camera, by the way, that hangs
over. Yeah.
And it looks like a video game to kids. And when I watch the NFL and CFL, like our game, their field is smaller, so it shoots differently. But when we don't have the Spider Cam, it is completely noticeable to me now. And, I think it's almost a mandatory. So I don't know how the league and our network and Bell and everything else works that out, because it is expensive, I believe. And stadiums have to be fitted all the time for it. So we have to do that. But,
McMahon Stadium.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to do that, but those are three things that may seem like little things, but they go a long way to fixing the pace. The excitement level keeps going up. We have less injuries because of fatigue, and the game looks sharper.
There's a couple of kids out at the park always where I live that fly the drones. Just hire them. Don't need cables. The drone world is so intense now. Just had to have a drone hovering over somewhere. Kind of being facetious. Kind of serious.
We do that though, Barney. We use a drone for the scenics. For
the opening shots. Yeah.
Yes, the opening shots when we're coming into the stadium. We'll show you the big
beautiful
area
downtown Regina as we get set for. Yeah, we've been there. Glenn,
last night it was on fire.
Let's talk. Oh yeah, let's talk. Let's talk Thursday. Glenn, have a good night.
Yeah, and hey, good on Brett Lawther. I just want to throw that in before we go. Good on him, man. I was happy to see him have that kind of game.
5 for 5.
No.
Yes, sir.
No.
Okay,
doubt.
guys, we'll talk Thursday.
See ya. Yeah.